Nobody can honestly claim that they have not been moved by Miranda Lambert's genuineness and strong voice, despite others accusing her of being entitled to reprimand supporters. Due to her extraordinary talent, she is able to emotionally connect with her listeners by delivering songs that address difficult subjects like heartbreak, domestic abuse, and self-empowerment with such depth and intensity. She stands out due to her extraordinary capacity to draw on her own experiences. We also get a peek of the heartbreaking battle that goes on beneath the glittering veneer of music and celebrity as we examine Miranda's journey. On November 10, 1983, Miranda Lee Lambert was born in Longview, Texas. She was called Lucy Miranda after her great-grandmother by her parents, Rick and Bev Lambert. In the 1970s, Rick, her father, served as a Dallas police officer. He was a songwriter and guitarist as well, and even had a group named Contraband that played country rock. Rick and his wife established their private detective agency in Longview after the birth of their daughter, where they brought up Miranda. Rick and Bev quickly achieved success because they were skilled at what they did. Their daughter joined the team at the age of 7 and was brought in for unusual instances. Along with a second child, 2 cars, dogs, and some cattle, the family also built a new home. Up until the oil crash, everything was running smoothly. It had an impact on everyone and shattered the Texas economy at the conclusion of that decade. Soon, the family lost everything they had when the work stopped pouring in. They relocated to Lindale, a little town that Bev picked because she liked the school system, to start afresh. She put Miranda in the 1st grade and rented some acres to house their animals. Rick deteriorated as the kids and animals improved. He was becoming sad and was a shattered guy. He frequently made the arduous trip to Dallas in search of employment, but his depression worsened. They had repaired the little, rat-infested house they had rented to make it at least habitable. Miranda would return to the farm to feed her animals and pray after Bev dropped her off at school each day. "Give me the ground beneath my feet," she prayed. Bev's prayers were granted just a few months later when an elderly pastor gave her a better home at a lower rent in exchange for her assistance in remodeling a much larger farmhouse. Bev claimed that the elderly man had received a message from God. The lawyers representing Paula Jones recruited Bev and Rick to look into Bill Clinton after they had been in Lindale for some time. The two also put in a lot of effort over the course of 2.5 years to obtain the materials that were ultimately used to subpoena Clinton. The husband and wife started a faith-based ministry that provided their home as a sanctuary for victims of domestic violence and their children thanks to the financial success of finishing such a well-known job. Stated, "Our house was always packed with people. It is merely a historic farmhouse. My city-dwelling pals had 4-wheelers, swimming pools, and everything. We had a vegetable garden and lived in the country. However, they were always saying, 'Let's visit your house.' Why, I would suppose. I now understand that it was because it was so cozy at my house. We took in everyone." She did all of this while attending school. She put in a lot of effort, despite the fact that her grades weren't the best. And, in other areas of her life, was a dedicated young girl. She was an enthusiastic member of the band at her church. Her father had taken her to a Garth Brooks show at the height of Brooks' success when she was 10 years old. And Miranda told her father, "Daddy, I'd like to do that someday," after they got home together. She had only performed in the church praise band up until this moment. According to her father, she was capable of doing so. Shortly afterward, he began attempting to encourage her to pick up the guitar. However, Miranda simply showed no interest. When she was 14, he finally gave her a guitar, but she still wasn't into it. Miranda was cheering, dancing, and engaging in all the activities that young girls engage with their friends, according to her father. She had bad experiences in high school, much like other teenagers. She struggled with her self-esteem and attractiveness. Her self-described ugly appearance was a result of her typical attire of wide slacks and t-shirts as well as her total absence of cosmetics. Her teenage lack of style may have caused her dissatisfaction, but the love she received from her family more than made up for it. Despite other difficult aspects brought about by her parents' private investigative firm, she had a special kind of love and support while growing up with her brother Luke. Miranda and her brother were emotionally burdened by the effects of their parents' employment, despite the fact that they were not physically harmed. However, it strengthened the children rather than weakening them. She was confident enough to compete in the True Value Country Showdown by the time she was 16 and heard the radio advertisement for it. Her parents assisted her in recording 2 of her father's original compositions after she informed them that she wanted to enter. She was allowed to participate in the competition. Even though she lost, she was encouraged by the positive feedback she received. In Arlington, Texas, she debuted as a professional vocalist on the Johnny High Country Music Review. LeAnn Rimes' career had been launched in part by this same talent show. She chose to travel to Nashville to cut a demo after attending a musical conference, but she wasn't pleased with the experience. She felt irritated with having to record just pop music, claiming that the songs were terrible and corny. I sobbed in the studio as she recounted what transpired. We didn't have any of the $6,000 that my dad spent on the demos. It was awful. However, he claims that because I learned what I wanted to do in 3 hours, the course was inexpensive. In order to write her own songs, Miranda eventually left the studio and went home to ask her father to teach her how to play the guitar. She began creating songs right away. She described the unexpected talent. The only thing that has ever come easily to me is this. Everything had to be labor for me. In school, I was terrible. Except for softball, I was terrible at sports, but I had to work at it. I always had to remain after, even though I was a cheerleader. The first thing I accomplished with my innate skill was music. She started her band, the Texas Pride Band, when she was still a high school student. Their first professional singing gig was at Deep Ellum's Gypsy Tea Room in Dallas. The band then started playing as the house band at the storied Rio Palmile Ballroom in Longview, which is 45 miles away from home. She was required to perform there 3 evenings a week for 4 hours each night. She would frequently return to Lindale about 4 in the morning before rising for school. I would reassure my 17-year-old self that everything would be all right, Miranda said. Her mom started looking at talent competitions. Eventually, she received one in Dallas, which led to a deal with an agency that landed Miranda a part in the 2001 adolescent comedy slapper, She's French, and a small role in a Ruffles potato chip commercial. Miranda also placed second out of 400 applicants for the part of Tammy Wynette in the musical Stand By Your Man in Nashville. Her self-titled debut album, which had 10 tracks, was released in the same year. Her brother Luke made a website to sell the $2,000 CD that featured the songs, which her father had sponsored. In order to advertise it and secure reservations, her mother also took her to clubs and radio stations. The family even purchased a motor home with an equipment trailer and a sound system. Following her early high school graduation, she focused entirely on music. "This is my college," she said at the time. "I can't learn what I've learned by reading a book, I have to put it into practice." Because the clubs think women don't attract, it was initially difficult to get in. "They're also expecting you to sing Broken Wing up there. That's not what I do. I'm a guitar player and a writer." Miranda toured on her home state's music circuit throughout 2002 and placed 2 songs from her CD on the Texas music charts. In January 2003, she entered another talent contest and finished first in the Texas auditions for the nationally telecast Nashville Star Competition. This was when young Miranda left home for the first time and moved to Nashville to appear on the TV series. 5 months later, out of 8,000 contestants, she finished third on the show's finale. She worked with winner Buddy Jewell on his Sony CD. Tracy Gershon, a Sony music executive and Nashville Star judge, had noticed Miranda during her time on the TV series and persuaded the label to sign her. And on September 15, 2003, Miranda became a Sony artist herself. In appreciating the show that got her signed, Miranda had this to say: "I always say that Nashville Star saved me from 5 more years in the honky-tonks." But she also added that she was still scared to death to sign that recording contract. "I was afraid they'd change me. I was worried they'd take my songs that didn't sound like anyone else's and produce them just like the next record down the street. I did not want it to be the typical Nashville record. I have my own style. I want to be my own person. There are a million blonde chicks who can sing. I've always wanted to be different." Her solution was simple: go home or tell the truth as it is. She described the outcome of the meeting with Sony officials. "We met. Everyone from Sony was present. All right, this is who I am," I muttered as I crossed my hands and sat down at the head of the table. I simply laid it out. Texas is where I'm from. I write my own content. Possess a statement to make. I will never wear a halter top while dancing on stage. I'll never stop playing my guitar. Now, I would prefer to return home and perform in Texas like I did if I couldn't create a song that truly captures who I am. Therefore, if you want to boss me around, kindly let me know right away." Miranda's mouth held her heart. However, she claims that she was taken aback by the label chief's subsequent remarks. "Go make your record," urged John Grady. Kerosene, her debut album, came out in the summer of 2004. She or her collaborators wrote 11 of the album's 12 tracks. Her father and Heather Little co-wrote the first single, "Me and Charlie Talking." Miranda later said that no one showed up at the studio, therefore John Grady had kept his word. "No songs were thrown at me. I played the tracks to them a few months later. You did an amazing job," they said. Except for the fact that it was occurring to her, it was nearly inconceivable. "This can't be real," Miranda claimed she kept saying. "The journey has been quite simple. Brick by brick, this entire route has been built down. That's why I know I'm supposed to do this," she concluded. "I can't wait. I feel as like everything is really beginning to come together here." On the Billboard Top Country Albums charts, the album debuted at the top of the charts. After more than 1 million copies were sent, the RIAA eventually declared it platinum. The album's title track, which peaked at number 20, was one of 4 top 40 songs that appeared on the Billboard country charts overall. Miranda also toured with Toby Keith, Dierks Bentley, and Keith Urban. She took home the Cover Girl Fresh Face of Country Music Award at the 40th Annual Academy of Country Music Awards in Las Vegas in 2005. In the same year, she received a nomination for the Horizon Award from the Country Music Association. On May 1, 2007, her second album, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, was made available. 4 singles and 8 of the album's 11 compositions were written by her. The CD, according to The New Yorker, demonstrated that she is as talented and charismatic as Dolly Parton, another blonde beauty who was formerly underappreciated. But something wasn't right. Miranda's music was not becoming popular on country radio. Her singles never made it past number 15 on Billboard's Hot Country chart, which surprised those watching the music business at the time. It was certainly annoying that she couldn't make it to the top of the singles charts. "I really don't understand radio at all," she said. "I don't think I'm overly daring or edgy. Not a single person does. What I could do differently is unknown to me. I'm not going to change anything because if I did, I wouldn't be myself. But I'm really frustrated." In response to why Miranda's music wasn't charting in the top 10s, Greg Sweetberg, program director for country station Key at the time, gave an answer. He stated that Miranda was one of the most talented females they had and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was an awfully good record. He suspected that anybody who bought the album would be really happy they did, yet he didn't think there was anything like a hit on the CD. His words, "Here 11 really good songs, but I don't think there's a giant anthem. Gunpowder Lead is one of the nastiest songs I've heard in any genre, and I love it. But I don't think it's a number 1 record because it's too angry." Despite her songs not reaching the top percentile of country radio, Miranda received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Female Country Vocal Performance for her single, Kerosene. She also won the Top New Female Vocalist Award at the 2007 Academy of Country Music Awards. At the 2008 edition, her second album, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, won Album of the Year. The following year, she released her third album, Revolution, on September 29, 2009. She co-wrote 11 of the album's 15 tracks. Other co-writers on the album included Dave Haywood and Charles Kelly of Lady Antebellum and Blake Shelton. Miranda's third Revolution upon its release received a lot of praise from the likes of Rolling Stone, Boston Globe, and Slant Magazine. Entertainment Weekly called the release the best mainstream country album so far this year. She sang her new single, Dead Flowers, at the 44th Annual Academy of Country Music Awards on April 5, 2009 and released it almost a month later. It was a top 40 hit. The album's second single, White Liar, was released on August 17 and debuted at number 50 on the US Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. But by February 2010, White Liar became Miranda's first top 5 hit, reaching a peak of number 2 on the US Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. Then the album's third single, The House That Built Me, was released the following month and it became a number 1 on the US Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, where it stayed for 4 weeks. It received an RIAA Platinum certification on July 8. Miranda had achieved what many had termed impossible, but it still wasn't over. Her album's fourth single, Only Prettier, and its accompanying music video went viral. It featured cameo appearances by fellow country artists Kelly Pickler, Laura Bell Bundy, and Hillary Scott of Lady Antebellum. By December, Only Prettier reached a peak of number 12 on the US Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, giving Miranda her 7th top 20 hit. Finally, she released the fifth and final single of the Revolution album, Heart Like Mine, and it became her second number 1 hit on the country charts. By the end of 2010, Miranda had gotten a record 9 CMA Award nominations. She performed at the 44th Annual Country Music Association Awards and won the CMA Award for Female Vocalist of the Year and her Revolution won Album of the Year. Very early the following year, Miranda started the year with a bang, winning a Grammy Award in the Best Female Country Vocal Performance category for The House That Built Me. In 2012, she decided to embark on a new project, the girl group Pistolanis. The members included her, Ashley Monroe and Angelina Presley. They released their single Hell on Heels in May and their debut album Hell on Heels a few months later. The album debuted at number 1 on Billboard's country chart. On February 8, 2012, fans were shocked to see Miranda on NBC's long-running legal drama, Law Order Special Victims Unit, in an episode titled Father's Shadow. This was her acting debut, although she later said she was a big fan of the show. When asked if she had become an actress, she answered, "Never wanted to act. I still don't. I don't want to be an actress. I just wanted to be on that show mainly so I could be a groupie for their autographs." True to her words, she returned to music and released her fifth album, Platinum, in 2014. 2 years later, she released her sixth studio album, The Weight of These Wings, and the third Pistolanis album. In March 2016, she performed her first ever show outside the US and Canada as one of the headliners of Country to Country, Europe's biggest country music festival. Miranda played alongside Dwight Yoakam, Thomas Rhett, and Ashley Monroe, touring from England to Scotland and Ireland. On her return in 2019, her seventh album Wildcard came out. The album went on to be nominated for both ACM and CMA Album of the Year and won the 2021 Grammy for Best Country Album. In 2021, Miranda released a collaborative and new project, the Marfa Tapes, which she did with long-term friends, John Randall and Jack Ingram. The media even labeled this as her best work yet. She then released her ninth studio album, Palomino, and Pistolani's Christmas album. Despite her incredible success in music and business, Miranda has had her ups and downs in love. She and singer Blake Shelton first connected at the CMT 100 Greatest Duets concert in 2005. She also provided backup vocals for his rendition of Michael Bublé's song, Home, which shot to the top of the Hot Country Songs list. Following a 4-year dating relationship, Shelton proposed to Miranda on May 9, 2010, in the woods close to her Tishomingo, Oklahoma home. Miranda, who was 27 then, said, "I'm just excited to get married because I want to tell Blake I really can love him for the rest of my life and be happy and make him happy." On May 14, 2011, Shelton and Miranda were legally wed. On Saturday night, they exchanged vows at the Don Strange Ranch in Bourne, Texas, located north of San Antonio. The celebration ran late with guests like Dierks Bentley, Laura Bell Bundy, Katherine Heigl, Josh Kelly, Reba, Kelly Clarkson, and Dierks Bentley. After 4 years of marriage, Shelton and Miranda announced their divorce on July 20, 2015. They released their statement saying, "The last time the public saw them together was at the Greenbrier Classic Music Series in West Virginia." Dated a few more times for a while after. 4 years after her divorce on January 26, 2019, Miranda shocked her fans by disclosing that, in addition to a new romance, she had recently wed Brendan McLaughlin in secret. She posted on Instagram with 2 adorable pictures from their joyous day. She added, my heart is overflowing. Thank you, Brendan McLaughlin, for loving me for me. Brendan McLaughlin welcomed a child from a prior relationship who was born in November 2018. This made Miranda the stepmother of a 3-month-old baby. While enjoying her new family in 2023, Miranda co-authored a cookbook titled, Y'all Eat Yet? Welcome to the Pretty Bee Titchin' Kitchen with Holly Gleason for Day Street Books. Another change in her life that year was the fact that she left Sony Music Nashville after 19 years. In April 2024, she announced that she had signed a joint deal with Republic Records and Big Loud. She also said the first single under the new contract, Wranglers, which was released on May 3, 2024, would serve as the lead single to her 10th studio album, Postcards from Texas. The promotional single, Damn It Randy, was released on June 28, 2024, a song she co-wrote with her husband, Brendan. Miranda had passed through it all, from the child who dared to dream and chase her dreams, to the teenager who never backed down, to the woman who never allowed a broken marriage to break her. She has held onto herself and overcome every challenge to start this new chapter with Brendan. Fans can't wait to see her flourish.